So, the realities of van life. Just wanted to do a little video because, I'm not on Facebook, and so I'm not scrolling on social media. I'm just sat in the van. I've got a telly, but I need to get rid of it because it's got nothing plugged into it, no fire stick, that's broken. Well, I just wanted to do a video, and say, for anyone out there, that's thinking of living in a van. I've been in a van since December, but I've had a few vehicles over the years. But if anyone's thinking of getting a van and you think, no, I'll be a bit lonely, because today I've woke up and I've just got a feeling I'm not doing anything. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take drugs, you know. And I think without all them things which I've took in the past, people are still messed up. It's all in your mind, innit? So I woke up this morning in a nice spot, just had bacon and egg on toast. And it's one of them. I feel a bit lonely, but it's just a feeling. I'm about to get dressed soon and go church, because I go to church, me, you know, and I'm not religious, I don't do religion. And you might think to yourself, that's just all kind of worms, that. But you might think that you might have a thought when I'm me saying that about, like, oh, he goes to church, what? Yeah, I go to church. I don't go to every church. I'll pick specific churches where I think, yeah, I like it in here. The people are down to earth. He struggled with addiction. He's struggled with depression. He struggled with this and struggled with that. And yet they've all come out of the other end and they're all trying. It's not a matter of thinking that you're perfect. Some people do think that they're all high and mighty, but me, I can't do that, especially with the life I've led and the things I've been through. But really, what I wanted to do this video for was, it was nothing to do with that. That was just because I said that. Basically, if you're feeling lonely, you're going to be lonely even in a flat or in a house, but you're just going to be weighed down with more responsibilities. And I'm all day for having responsibility, it helps people grow, but you're going to be weighed down with more financial. You're going to be paying rent, you're going to be paying council tax, and so on and so on and so on, and the list is endless. But being lonely is just a feeling, and it comes from a thought. You're thinking that you're lonely. I'm not lonely. I've got Lola. I've got a dog. I've got myself. I've got my faith. You know, I think I've struggled me over the years to be by myself. There's a time to be on your own, and there's a time to be around people. Like in a bit where I'm going to be around people for an hour or so, and then I'll be like, nah, get me on my own. So if you're thinking of doing van life, you're thinking of living in a van, and you're having all these thoughts, and one of them comes up, and it's like, oh well, I might be lonely, might feel lonely. Yeah, it's just a feeling, and it'll pass. You know, even me doing this video now, I'm starting to like not feel as lonely, as weird as that sounds, because I'm speaking about it, I'm getting it out. And I could ring someone and talk to someone. I've got people who I could phone and talk to. But sometimes you've got to deal with things. You've got to go through certain things on your own to learn and grow. as a person. You know, if you've got everything rosy and everything's all fine, it's like yesterday. I've just, you know, I've got a video of it all, but I've just not uploaded it yet, and I will do. I'll edit it later. But it's like, you know, it's like yesterday. I woke up, diesel heater was broken, van was stinking of fuel, it's cold. I had to put the van engine on, and it's like, oh, poor me, your heating's gone. You know, I'm joking when I say that. You know, get the violins out. Anyone ever done that to you where they go like that, and you're moaning about something or something, and they go like that, and they say the world's smallest violin playing just for you. If no one's ever had that done to them, people have done that to me and have been like, what? The world's smallest violin? Give your head a wobble. But yeah, we have things that go wrong. We have things that happen. You know, things work out, things don't work out. What's gonna work out? What's meant to work out will work out. And but I'm just speaking to the people that feel like they're on their own. You know, you're not on your own. We all have a choice. You know, but I want you to realize that it's that thing of sometimes if you see being on your own and that feeling of loneliness, if you see that as, well, what am I learning here? What am I learning about myself? I can't sit without a TV. I can't sit without scrolling on social media, you know, because when you take them things away, you're just left with your own mind and your own self. I don't even think you get to know yourself when you just plugging your brain into flipping cyber world. Do you know what I mean? I've struggled with that, just picking my phone up, getting in a habit of just picking my phone up. I see people in the gym and that, you know, on running machines and still swiping. I sit in work and I see everyone in work, no one's talking in the canteen. They're all sat there, you know, plugged into the phone. It's a mad world we live in, isn't it? Especially nowadays. Trying to simplify my life a bit more. That's why I think I've got a laptop. You know, I've got a lapper. Put YouTube on and watch certain things, but I don't spend hours and hours on it because I want to get to know myself. I wanna know a bit more about me, what I like, what I don't like, what triggers me, what doesn't trigger me. You know, what makes me happy, what brings me joy. And I can't figure all that out if for one, I'm sat there doing whatever to occupy my mind, or two, I'm feeling a certain way, so I go and do something to make myself feel better. Whether that's you know, buying clothes, go shopping, go TK Maxx and get some tops and that, and it's just little dopamine hits, or you know, I'll go and smoke a joint, or I'll go and drink, I'll go to the pub, I'll have a bottle of wine, glass of wine, you know, I'll go and have some sex, or whatever it is, whatever your vice is, you know, just sit with yourself. I'm going on a right rant, aren't I? But I think it's just because I've woke up and I've had that feeling of loneliness. And because I'm not plugged into anything, I'm starting to realise that it's just a feeling. You know, if I'm constantly ruled by my feelings, I'm tossed all over, tossed here and there, like out standing outside in the wind, just blowing me everywhere, in every direction, because I feel a certain way. You know, we all have feelings, but I am put my hand up and say I've let them, you know, take control 90% of my life. and they've sent me in a certain direction. You know, they sent me in a wild direction. And one day I'll do a video and I'll talk about where I grew up. You know, what I did as a kid, how it built habits, how I grew up. You know, with a certain mindset, doing certain things, ending up in certain places, institutions, addicted to certain substances, all because I felt a certain way, and nobody ever explained to me. You know, it's the feeling. You know, acknowledge it and learn from it, learn about yourself. So yeah, basically this video was about it was about, you know, feeling lonely, and anyone that's thinking of getting into van life, go for it, you know, and watch this video, you know, and listen to what I'm saying. You know, I'm not a kid. I know I look young, you know. I've been, you know, I've learned and been through some stuff. I don't know everything, but you know, I'm experienced in certain things in life. You could say, well, you're experienced in things, why you're not doing this and why you're not doing that. Well, because I am where I am, and I'm doing what I'm doing, and I've been through what I've been through. You know, we're all different. We're all different, right? We all have different personalities, yeah, but we all have the same emotions. Am I lying? If you feel anger, I felt anger. If you felt rejection, I know what rejection's like. If you felt depression, I know what depression's like. You know, if you've been at it, so on and so on. So anyway, if you're thinking of doing van life and you're thinking, nah, because I'll be lonely, don't worry about it, because it'll pass. And there'll be days when you're like, I'm actually happy that I'm on my own. So anyway, right, I am off, gonna get dressed, and I'm gonna go around some people and connect. Yeah? So God bless you. Have a lovely evening. Have a lovely morning. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, peace out.